All right, we'll call to order the Monday, June 9th meeting of the Yellowknife School Board, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move on to roll call of board members. Start with Director Winter.
Ron Winter.
Amanda Lacey.
Laurel Christensen. Sonia Peterson.
Jeremy LeBlanc.
Matt Temple.
Abby Richter.
All right. And then the reading of the YME mission statement will be by Director Richter.
Our mission is to provide a caring environment of high expectations that prepares every student for a successful future and instills the value of learning.
Thank you. All right, next is public address to the school board. Is there anybody who'd like to address the school board? Seeing none. All right, next is the consent agenda. The approval of the minutes from May 12th, approval of the work session notes from June 2nd, approval of the payment for claims, approval of the finance report, and improvement of the enrollment report. Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda? You have a motion? Can I get a second? Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Carries. All right, moving on to reports. Principal Hanson, Burt Rainey Elementary.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have a few items. You should have my board report in front of you. Just a couple things related to the last few days of school. On May 30th, which was our last day of school, we had a 1 p.m. dismissal, and Burt Rainey staff gathered together to celebrate Deb Posh and Bernadette Karstensen's retirement. They were not able to join us on that Monday morning breakfast celebration, so we had a gathering for them after school. And that was also followed by a data dive that was relevant to our Title I plan. On Monday the 2nd, the day at Burt was used for end of the year wrap-up, grades, report cards, and prepping classrooms for the summer. Wanted to touch base on 5th grade band. So Mr. Osmond and Mrs. Jan held a incoming 5th grade parent meeting for band students on May 1st. That was early evening. The meeting was geared at giving students and parents an overview of what 5th grade band is like, and it also provided the kids with introductions to musical instruments. According to Mrs. Jan, and this was over a week ago, 28 of the 48 incoming 5th graders were already signed up for band, which is a very happy start.
Fantastic.
Students were asked to rank their top 3 instrument choices. And on the last day of school, I saw Mr. Osmond moving pretty quickly through the hallways to deliver those letters. And I know the kids were really excited to get those because that was their instrument assignment letters. I just want to give a big kudos to Mr. Osmond and Mrs. Jan for all the work they put into getting 5th grade band up and going. Without a doubt, without their dedication, that would never have happened. So a special thank you to both of them. Burt Rainey staff update. You'll see we had 3 retirements. Bernadette Karstensen, Deb Posh, and Amy Ann Gesser from MBCC. And then I call them the repeat retirements, Leslie Repslin and Carolyn Olson. And again, just want to wish all of our retirees the very best as they begin retirement. Current open positions at Burt Rainey. We still have a special ed position open, and also school psychologist and a part-time physical therapist, again through MBCC. We have a number of elementary paraprofessional positions that are open, and looking for a long-term sub for 4th grade. And we also have a long-term sub coming for special ed also at Burt Rainey. That is not posted yet, but it will be this week. Title I, just wanted to give a quick overview. So one of the things that we're going to be doing moving forward is just improving some of our practices with staff, reviewing goals, looking at data to support them, We also will be just spending more time on formulating strategies for improvement. And the sessions will be built into our staff development days. And I will also make sure that you are briefed on those things as we do that as well. We recently had 2 staff meetings to go over various title items. And I just want to make a note, it's not typical to have a data dive on the last student day on an early dismissal. Not a typical thing that a principal would do on the last school day. But a special thank you to my staff. For that day, they were very engaged, worked collaboratively, and we actually got a lot done on that early out. So thank you to them. Burr Rainey parents were invited in to attend 2 optional title meetings. Numerous forms of that invite went out. The meetings were scheduled for last Tuesday, June 3rd at 5, and a repeat was scheduled for Thursday the 5th at 8:30. The first part of the meeting was about our title program, and then the second part was a tour provided by Mr. Schneider. So our next step with title is we'll be working on our 25-26 plan. We have been notified that our funding will be decreasing for next year. And as of this morning, our Title II funding was still placed on hold, and that was just statewide. They noted this morning at my meeting that the State Department said many things are still being figured out by the federal government, so some of it is a wait and see, but hopefully soon. Today, Keisha Lawaji, our early childhood coordinator, and I completed our Parent Aware recertification, and that is it's basically a ranking for our preschool program. We currently are a 4-star program, which is the highest rating. And I asked Keisha today, I said, do you ever remember us not being a 4-star? And neither of us could remember that we've ever been anything other than. So we're feeling pretty good about all of our documentation that we submitted. And it really is based on use of research-based practices in preschool. So sometimes that takes up to 2 months for us to hear, but that will be coming. READ-ACT update. So our local literacy plan was actually submitted late afternoon today. Lengthy plan with a new format this year from what we had to do in years prior. That plan included a number of items: READ-ACT goals, screening tools for kindergarten through 3rd grade, screening tools for 4th grade through 12th grade, parent notification and involvement, database decision-making, MTSS, curricular resources for K-5, reading interventions for K-12, professional development plan. We also had to submit our professional development educator count, which falls back on like the phase 1 training of how many people in all of the categories have been trained, are in training, or still need to be trained. That was also included, as well as Jeremy and I had to submit information on our literacy aid funds, and then we also had a number of screening pieces that we had to submit. Everything from dyslexia screening to students that are at or above grade level. So I will just mention, you maybe recall from last spring, our phase 1 staff at that time, we were just over the 90% of staff at that time were either done with phase 1 training, which right now in statute is due next July. And this fall, so it would have been fall of '24, any of the new teachers in phase 1 that were hired already have started training under Sherry Schneider, who is our local letters facilitator, and they actually just completed their first year of 2 years, so they will be done next summer. And we also were able to enroll 2 additional phase 1 educators from the middle school, high school, and they will be starting their core training in August, and they will be done by December. One thing I will just note, the Department of Ed now handles all of those registrations, so the process is much more complicated than it used to be, so it takes longer for teachers to get signed up. Mrs. Hintz and I attended a leadership conference last week at MERVED, full day of learning and collaborating, and I also included a list of our ECFE classes this summer. So if you happen to have any friends or neighbors, we're continually trying to get additional people in. Our numbers are very high. I will mention a highlight of the summer is a trip to the Children's Museum in Brookings. And again, all of our activities are at no charge to families. So if you know of anyone, please pass that on to them. Questions for me?
Any questions for Principal? All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Next up is YME Middle School High School report from Principal Hintz. Hello.
Good afternoon. Morning. Okay. The first bullet Lisa went over, I believe, I think I copied it right from her report. So the only thing we were going to add was that we're going to do 6th grade boot camp. It's not supposed to be book camp, it's supposed to be boot camp. And then we are staffing updates, we still need a math instructor. We are looking at working with Amy Stewart to fill part-time FACS and special ed. She's really excited about being able to offer those courses again. And then our PBIS application was submitted to MDE. I'm assuming it will be approved. The highlighted names of the list of people that are going to be trained as part of the whole group is our PBIS leadership team. Those are the 6 individuals that will be going to North Mankato in August 6th and 7th. Then we're probably going to train a different group in November and then March and kind of spread that around as we go. I'm really looking forward to that because that will fit into our MTSS plan as well. The back side is some really fun news. Number 4, this is like not official, but as official as we can get. I wanted to share this from Mr. Schulte. I don't think you have a 4 and 5 on your, do you have a 4 and 5 on your report? Okay, good. So students every year self-report to him when they get their ACT scores back. And so in the early self-reporting of ACTs from the juniors as a class, they improved their class average from 15.8 on the ACT given last November to a class average of 18.5 in April of 2025. An 18.5 is our highest class average on the ACT English portion since 2019 pre-COVID. So we're pretty excited about that. Additionally, I think this is really powerful. We observed an increase in students scoring 18 or higher on this portion, rising from 36% in the fall to 57% in the spring. So we did an ACT prep course that involved social studies, math, science, and English, and it was very intense. The kids, I think they grumbled a little bit, but they also knew that this was like really how important this is, and we all were sending them the same message consistently, and watching them take the ACT, you could tell that I felt that they were really working really hard. So I was proud of them. I think we had some kids get some very big jumps that had already taken the ACT this year, and so lots of action around that. The feedback I got, I did receive feedback from a majority of this whole group of girls came up afterwards and said, I do not want to take that test on flying ever again. I want to take it on paper. So Leah and I are meeting tomorrow. We're going to move towards doing that on paper. I talked with all of the Merved principals at the leadership conference last week, and a few of them moved to digital and then they went back to paper. So that'll be a different move. So, but very proud of them. And then one update for next year, among many updates, but this one's exciting. We are going to run a multi-age advisory in grades 6 through 8. I met with all of the middle school advisors just to talk with them about the benefits, the possible problems, some questions, concerns, and everyone was like, let's go for it. We wanted to create more of a family relationship style connection between one advisor that would have your child if you're entering 6th grade for 3 years. Siblings will be placed together unless we get a request from the parent that they are put together, which could happen. We're going to just try this and see, and then after this year, 9 through 12 is thinking about doing that as well. So that one advisor would stay on top of them, their graduation, everything, and kind of have a better connection. We did this a long time ago. I think we did like middle school, high school families, because my girls were all in the same advisory at one. Yeah. So I like that. Yeah, I did too. I got to know other kids a little bit closer than, still, think about them. So you experienced it yourself. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about, when you're in a small school, you're with those 40 kids every single day, all day long, and now it'll be 8th graders maybe showing a 6th grader how to get on the student portal instead of, so, we'll see. So, that's what I have, and thank you very much for all your work, or help on graduation, that was awesome. So, do you have any questions or things you want to talk about?
Any questions for Ms. Hens? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
District report, Superintendent Schneider.
Okay, first of all, thank you to our principals. I know we wrapped up the school year with students, but I can tell you that they have a lot of stuff they're doing. Lisa talked a little bit about the literacy plan, but there's still a lot of stuff still happening. So thank you to them, and so we hope things go smooth this summer and they can have a reasonable summer. Recruiting and hiring, Lisa highlighted a couple of our positions that we still have open. We also have an inside maintenance and a custodian. That inside maintenance right now is covered by a retire-rehire. We have paraprofessional positions, community cultural liaison in the middle school, high school, half of a fax, but Stacy talked about how that would be covered with our special ed teacher, a full-time math teacher, early childhood special education, a half of an after-school care coordinator, which we'll take a look at hiring in July, and then long-term subs. So we also have some coaching that we need to fill, system volleyball, Lego League, and the Honor Society. So, legislative update, I don't know, I haven't been near the TV. Did they wrap things up today, or where do you go?
I did not see.
I haven't heard anything, so it doesn't sound real promising. So we'll see. I gave you a little update there that comes from the School Administrators Association. I'm not going to go through that, but gives you a little bit, kind of gives you an idea of where they're at. The one thing with title, Lisa talked about how it went down. It looked like even best case scenario, we're going to lose about $23,000 to $24,000 in title funding for next year. So not as bad as some, but definitely not ideal. Loss of the library aid will also be out of our general fund of about $20,000 also. So facilities referendum update, major activities, we get weekly updates are sent out to parents. We continue with Crystal and Denise's help getting those out. We have a big meeting tomorrow night. Hopefully have a good turnout. I think everybody got their phone call, right? At about 7:30, you probably will get a text message. You should get a text message at 7:30. So we'll try and spam everybody to encourage them to attend. The intent is to give a brief overview, allow for question and answers, and then tours with questions. We have kind of a set pattern we'll follow, but obviously we're going to deviate from that if people have interest in seeing something specific. Now I'm going to try and see if I can get this to cast. I'm going to have very short patience with this because we have a lot to cover tonight, so if this doesn't pop up here. Is it up there? Good. Let's see now if the video will show up. And is this, I don't know why it's not showing up there. I probably connected to the wrong one. Stop. Screen. Is it up there? Nuts. It's delayed. We'll see how bad it is. Nice aerial photos. Unfortunately, I don't know how to get this. You can.
Our schools are the center of our community. Today, our schools need extensive repairs.
All right,
Because of this-
I sent it to you folks in an email, so I don't think we'll play it because the sound is going to be way off from the video. So, thank you to those. Great job, Jeremy.
Thanks.
So, is that your acting debut?
It is, yes.
All right. All right. I don't know about you, but I'm going to keep my day job.
Yeah, I don't think I'm giving mine up either.
Okay. So we are expecting 5 other videos. The Egg to School will be one that will be personalized for our district. We'll have one about aging facilities that will focus on that. One about safety and security. One about the impact of learning. And then one specifically about accessibility. We continue to meet weekly with Daler PR and talk about, they seem to give me a lot of homework. So I guess I did say before the board meeting, I love homework. So it's my own fault. So in all of this process too, I wanted to point out, like, some of the stuff we're going to approve tonight is not just something Denise or I just quickly throw together. We have frequent conversations with our bond attorney, our school attorney, and the county public services director, Janelle. And I know I've told you folks, but I want to make sure people are aware that this is not a quick throw things together for an August 12th vote. So thank you to Denise for patience and trying to wrangle me and get all that done. There was an idea proposed to me about a tractor analogy of putting a 1930 building or a 1930 tractor and a 2025 tractor. What do you folks think? Put that out on the parking lot, put it somewhere? What do you think?
Could draw some attention.
You're all right with that? I mean, any apprehension about it? Unfortunately, we probably can't get it on our front yard. There might be significant damage, especially if it's a tracked one.
Would
But
certainly get attention.
okay,
Right?
we will look at doing that. So I'm hoping to recruit maybe some FFA and get some help with getting that out there. The one group I'm struggling to meet with is farmers. I realize that they have the biggest economic burden in this, well, comparatively speaking. They have a huge economic burden, and I also am not finding much success getting an audience with them. So if you figure out a way, whether it's me going into their houses, I'd love to do it. It's not argumentative. I want to make sure they have accurate information. I know I have heard some people complaining about the percentage that's going up, and unless I can look at their property individually, I can't address that concern. But we're going to be transparent. I will give them the facts and try and at least let them feel that they're a big part of this decision. Upcoming community events, so I've got scheduled 3 of them. 4th one is tentatively scheduled for Granite Falls City Council. We'll be in Hanley Falls on the 16th of July, Echo on the 8th, and Clarkfield on the 9th. I'm looking for a board member, at least one, for each event. Anybody want to volunteer for Hanley Falls? Okay.
I could do Hanley too.
Then how about Echo on the 8th? Anybody else? All right, if somebody becomes available, let me know. Clarkfield on the 9th.
If I can do that one.
All right. And then Granite Falls on the 21st. Okay. Thank you. All right. The one group I have not been able to get organized yet to go out and visit is Upper Sioux Community. I'll start with their Board of Trustees. So, special thank you to our Ag and Biology classes, Mr. Refslin and Mr. Suter, for dressing up the front of our gym. I don't know if you folks saw that out there. It looks really good. Really, really good. So, then we will have some, eventually this summer, we'll have some surplus property. We've got an old kitchen oven right now that's already out of there. The new one was installed last week. And then we will have a couple mowers that will become available after the delivery of our John Deere mower after July 1st. Looking at using a online bin or auction site. Questions or comments about that? Okay, and then my schedule, I'll be out of the office for most of tomorrow. I'm hoping to be back by about 4:30, 5 o'clock tomorrow for our meeting up in, it will start basically in the entry here, and then we'll move up to the media center and do our talking up there, and then lead with tours from there. All right? If you're planning on attending, is there anybody planning on attending?
I was.
Okay. Okay. So just want to kind of guard against a quorum. So I will then be out of the office June 13th through the 28th, and I will have cell phone access. And I really, really encourage you to reach out if there's an emergency. So, all right?
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Schneider? Hearing none?
I'll email you all the farmers in the area get together at the Hamilton Legion in the morning. So I'll get more information from my dad.
Okay.
Information to you about it. I'll get a good spot for the in the mornings. They have like a 6 o'clock in the morning or an 8 o'clock or something like that.
Does your dad attend one regularly?
No, but I'm sure he will.
Okay. Oh, that'd be awesome. That's kind of my way to wedge in.
Yeah.
Do I have to roll for coffee? Roll dice for coffee?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you.
Okay, next, the QComp annual report from Ms. Herniman. Mr. Suter? Okay.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome.
tonight. We're going to give you a overview of QCOM where we're at after the year. Our district goal was to increase 2% from the spring of 2024 to the spring of 2025 using the MDE, Reading All Accountability, MCA, and the TPA tests. That's not both. We did not quite make our goal this year of 2%. We did increase 1.2% overall in the district. Grades 3 through 8 and grade 10 take this MCA reading test. I know the high school saw a nice increase in their percentage. Wyoming had a slight decrease in their overall Bergen had a slight decrease in their percentage overall. But as a district, which is how we look at this data and the goal, we did increase 1.2%. There's a little more detail on the next page. As you can see in this spreadsheet, or in this slideshow that we said. I'll quick touch on the individual groups at the elementary, and then Jake can move into high school stuff. The 4th and 5th grade, ELC chose to do some work about comprehension using the new CKLA curriculum and then comprehension assessment that is included in that curriculum. And both 4th grade and 5th grade saw some nice growth there. So that was cool to see. The 2nd and 3rd grade used the STAR test for their growth, and their goal was not quite met, but they did make some progress. We are very first grade had sort of separate goals, although they were one PLC. The first grade goal was using the STAR reading assessment, and they're categorized as at or above grade level, and in the fall they were at 26%, and at the spring they ended up at 46%, excuse me. And so very close to their goal, good progress. And kindergarten did make some also good progress. They used a different assessment that was brand new to them this year, the fast bridge assessment. And I think had they known a little bit more about what the assessment was doing and assessing and how it was how the scores were come up with, they may have been able to choose a more appropriate goal, I guess. But they did make some really good progress in kindergarten as well. The ECE and preschool PLC focused on alphabet letter recognition, and they increased a good amount, and the goal was met that they chose. The SLPA's D and ELL PLC used a conversation turn-taking rubric, and they saw a really nice increase of 1.11%. So their goal was also met. Any questions about elementary groups or goals in general?
It's nice to see progress was being made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is fun to see.
So the middle school and high school, we've got a variety of different PLC groups. One thing that we really tried to focus on this year was using our individual and PLC goals and try to be a little bit more data-driven than we have in the past. So the first slide, in terms of staff development individual goal processes, we met midway through the year, February, in March, and then at the end of the year in May. And we tried to use beginning of the year baseline data, middle of the year progress check, and then reflecting at the end of the year, how did we end up doing? As we stated, our district-wide goal, we did come up a little bit short. But seeing progress, at 1.2%, I find that very encouraging. And I think some of the things that we did in terms of our individual goal setting and looking at the data really has got us moving in the right direction going forward. So our social studies group, they were mainly looking at formative assessment, and then ultimately there's summative assessments in the STAR test to try to reach in terms of their goal. They found in the middle of the year, that season slump a little bit, but by the end of the year, things turned around quite a bit in a better way. The next group, our music group, we were just talking about this the other day when we met with our QCOM group. When you're in a content area that doesn't necessarily always have a standardized test, they got to come up with their own ways of, monitoring, are they meeting their goal or not. And you can see the music department looks like they made some really good progress in terms of their routine assignments and their worksheets, their whole class applications, and looking at musical literature to meeting, in this case, exceeding their goal. So that was good to see. Our math group was implementing a brand new curriculum. I guarantee if you talk to anybody in that group, they had quite the task in front of them just getting used to the new curriculum. And I believe they used the MCA MTAS test at the end of the year for their progress moving forward. How did they say it? Our department embarked on the journey of implementing a new math curriculum. I think that's a kind of way of saying we have a lot to do. Our social work group was looking at identifying high-risk absenteeism and trying to find a way to get over that hump with some of our routine kids that are not in the building nearly enough. Our ELA group, language arts, they were, again, units of the ELA team, plethora of data, including star reports and MCA strands. Mr. Schulte might have had a role in the language behind that. So really diving into the data behind it, trying to increase those scores. And like we shared earlier, the ACT data coming in such an increase. That was a proud day for a lot of us at the middle school and high school, knowing that we're on the right direction with that. Our SPED group, again, really looked at the individual process made by students. We had multiple success stories. Mr. Holt shared a few with some of our students in the middle, 9th grade, 8th grade areas. So that was really good to see. As I said, progress was made. The group I'm in, the CTE, PE, Health and Sciences group, were a hodgepodge of everything from FIA to ag, you name it. And kind of like the music area, we all have a little bit different areas of content area and stuff that we can look at in terms of the data that we can look at. And if you look at the overall goal, we didn't make it, but I think individually, when I went back and looked at some of our info that each person shared, it was really good to see that progress is being made at all levels, everything from FIA to health and ag and science as well. The last slide is kind of a progress of where we're at and where we're going. And we met for 3 days this past week, rewriting our new QComp and TDE plan. We still have a ways to go. And the biggest thing right now is, the individual rubrics that we have to come up with for teacher development, and how do we assign whether or not we're meeting our goals with every teacher that's being evaluated, whether it be by us in QComp or in the future when QComp is no longer available. That again, this takes steps, and we'll find out with everybody else how that goes, how that's going to look in the future. So I really like where we're heading. We've shared some information with various schools, so we're not going about it just rolling and doing our own thing. We're sharing the information from what I think are good plans in the area. So we'll continue that progress, and we have to have that turned in end of June and hopefully approved by August. That's kind of where we're heading going in the future.
When you say spring data bucket, already collecting on
If you want to see our individual scores and spreadsheet, I'll be very well open to share with you.
Right, it'd be nice to
It's
see just,
easier to not put everybody's stuff out in one document. So.
or summative average, like if you're looking at, that would be just nice to see. For math, did they just establish a baseline this year since it's new curriculum, or?
Well, I believe with using the STAR data as one piece, that isn't going to quite always align exactly with the MCA and tax stuff that has to be. So it's supposed to be, but obviously we get the end of the year report from MCA in the spring, and that's what was reported with the data.
How did everyone like the Fridays?
Oh, I was gonna mention that. rave reviews about the schedule. We have time to really look at student data, really dive into analyzing what's going on, how can we make it better. Way more involvement, way more benefit to actually going to the meeting. Wonderful reviews from every single person I talked to. Same, yeah, high school, everybody really, really liked it. I didn't hear anything bad about parents, like that was a big hazard or a big inconvenience to them. So I think if any of you have heard anything from parents, that was a big inconvenience, but.
We have every Wednesday.
Yes.
I heard, and then they like that it was combined with the whole day Fridays. Sometimes there weren't quite as many throughout the year. That was separate.
Yeah.
And not putting our kids in the gym in the morning for 40 minutes.
Oh, that was another different thing, yeah, that was a nightmare. But yes, the Fridays is working really, really well.
It looks like next year's calendar is all set up, ready to go, and then that same one.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for your
Thank you very
time.
much. Thank you.
Today.
Moving on to committee reports, starting with curriculum advisory committee, met on May 21st.
I think
I
that's,
wasn't there.
So, just reviewed a few things there. Obviously, folks have heard my facility update, but, we talked a little bit, Stacy talked a little bit about new course offering, 540. And then some of the new initiatives at both of the buildings, ALA, being the biggest one at BRE, and then social studies, opportunities for expanded agriculture, with the hiring of the second ag teacher at middle school, high school.
I was there, at my buddy worked at Home South. It was the technology of that.
So we talked about the implementation of the new devices for both the students and the staff, what that will look like. We talked a little bit about how we could possibly update our streaming equipment. We continue to have a few microphone problems, et cetera, with what we have now. Just to clarify, there's nothing requiring that we watch this. In fact, state Denise Cumming are watching it. I realize people can go back and watch it.
You go back and look at our YouTube record.
Says 3, I would be one of the 3.
So two other people.
If you go back and look at our past 12 meetings, it's around 140, 150 views.
Okay.
And we get out of it, so. And I had a couple people actually talking about, so yeah, go back and watch it later. So it's fantastic.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah, so I think it's important.
All right. So, of course, our capital outlay budget was tight this year, so we did look at a few proposals to upgrade things in here. Maybe in the future that will happen, because that equipment could also be transferable into another room if we need. So, auditorium sound and projection, it's a little bit temperamental in there. We seem to have a few issues, especially like baccalaureate, homecoming, so we'll have to get someone here to take a look at it. Unfortunately, that's not something that's easily resolved. So, software ordering, we talked about that, and then updating to the new smart software. So that was the gist of it.
Policy Committee meeting on May 21st.
So for that one, there were some minor changes anticipated for the student handbooks. So we just authorized Rich to bring those directly to the board without going through the committee again, since it was tight on time for the principals and Rich to get everything in order. And let's see, crisis response review plan, it's there. We don't post it publicly because people know what our crisis plan is. Work from home guidelines, just walk through some of the need for some of the members of the school, of the district, to be able to work from home. Then, that one, I don't remember which, what we talked about today.
The language access plan, we actually had the whole next school year, but MPD had put down further, I wouldn't say constraints, but we have to outline how we're going to handle when language is a barrier for some of our students.
And then we talked about putting together just a policy on early admittance to kindergarten, just so we have something consistent that the district can utilize. That's on the books. Fundraising, just kind of tightening up those funds so that we don't end up in the news. Not that we will, but just getting some of those policies tightened up there just to make sure it's covered. And let's see. Extended field trips, we talked about, when that board approval would come into effect, so that they don't miss out, students don't miss out on opportunities, say, if they get the opportunity to go to a play in the cities or something, that's like a one-night, overnight type thing. That'd be something that they could figure out without board approval. But if it's like a longer trip, then they would come and talk to the board about it. And then policy 721, I think that's later in this agenda right there. Yeah. So that we're just increasing the amount of micro-purchase from 5,000 to 25,000. And that allows for Rich to sign off on those purchases. And, most of that's already discussed with the board or with various committees that would be involved before they're typically signed off. But, we're kept informed generally, so that's the later to approve the agenda. And then there's just kind of an update on the after-school task force and going through the anticipated costs versus anticipated revenue. We might be a little short the initial year as we get things figured out, provided that we are able to put it in place. Wellness policy, just have all the some minor revisions in there. And that, for everything too, I think, right? Yep. And then basically a lot of various kind of, the cycle of policies we need to review, which will be showing up later in the meeting. Most of them are minor legal updates.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Any questions on that? It's a lot. Moving on to new business. We have personnel items, there are leaves, requests, and resignations. We have accept the resignation of DRE paraprofessional Carolyn Olson. Accept the resignation of second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. I guess I'd like to make a note to Carolyn, Carissa, and Deb Posh, Amy Angusser, and Bernadette Carstensen for their years of service and dedication to the district. Very much appreciated, and all of the efforts they did to our children and everyone else. Thank you very much. Moving on to new hires, we have approved the summer employment for custodian, summer custodian Harley Labatt, and approve the employment for lead custodian Shelley Hanson. And that's only two, right? Okay, all right. A motion to approve those two.
I'll make a motion.
A motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, carries. Next item is to approve the election services contract with Yale Medicine County.
So, as I explained during my report, a lot of work went into this. We believe it's ready. Went through the attorneys and the county attorney I didn't have listed, but he also was involved. So I urge you to approve that.
We have a motion to approve the election services contract.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
Second by Semple.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. Next is to approve the red bid for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, beings were part of this group, Western Minnesota 5 group. We're able to get red bids through there, and so we're just going to recommend the one item to your board, which is Panago.
I'll make a motion to approve.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? So I had one question, so this is through a purchasing cooperative? That's why we're
Correct.
doing it? Okay. All right.
So the bid process carried through by that cooperative.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is to call for bids for milk and milk products for the 25-26 school year.
Again, this is an annual requirement. This will go out for the processes we have used in the past.
Motion by Semple to approve that.
Motion by Zem. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. Next is to approve the membership renewal for MASA for the school year 25-26.
So that's the organization for superintendents. So,
A motion to approve.
Make a motion.
A motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is to approve the membership renewal for MSBA for 25-26. We all know what this is.
I'll make that motion to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second? Abby gets a second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is to approve the membership renewal for MREA for 25-26 school year.
we do not have the amount on this, or at least I didn't see it, so, but we have always been members.
The motion to approve the membership for MREA.
I'll motion to approve.
Okay, the motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. All right, next one is to recognize recognize Juneteenth, June 19th, 2025, as a district holiday and pay employees as such.
So the dilemma here is we have a few of our contracts do not have Juneteenth listed as a holiday, and no work can be conducted on that day. So we need to declare it as a holiday too.
And we did do this last year.
Do we do this every year then?
And we will until we get those contracts updated, all right?
Yep, that makes sense.
So this is just filling in the gaps for those that don't.
Correct.
I'll make that a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second by Zumbo.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. Next is adopt a resolution relating to appointing election judges and absentee ballot board members for the August 12th, 2025 school district special election.
Okay, so we're getting this done well in advance. So there's a list of the judges that Denise and Janelle have worked together to identify. And so ask that you approve it.
Motion to approve by Zumbo.
I have a motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Yeah. Being this is a resolution, we'll have a roll call vote. Start with Director Richter.
Kathy Richter, yes.
Matt Zumbo, yes.
Jeremy LeBlanc, yes.
Sonia Peterson, yes?
Laurel Christensen, yes.
Amanda Lisi, yes.
Ron Linder, yes. Resolution adopted. Next is to approve the purchase of the storage containers.
Okay, these storage containers would be used for storage, so we can clear out a storage room in the basement, the former computer lab down there, and use that for our after-school care. So two of them, total amounts, a little over $10,000. Almost 11.
Any discussions or questions on that?
This would be purchasing them.
Where would these be kept?
My intent will be that it will be out by the greenhouse somewhere. I haven't talked to Jeff about that yet, but as inconspicuous as possible, not taking up too many parking spots.
The stuff that's in storage, there's some that could be eliminated, or is the stuff that we use?
Yeah. That's what Lisa is telling me, some of it can be eliminated.
Okay.
Denise probably doesn't want to take on a sale this summer.
What is the stuff that's eliminated?
Well, the room is Bert Rainey's only storage room.
Okay.
So it's piled high with desks, tables, you name it, it's in there.
Okay.
It's kind of the buffer if we have a kiddo move in.
Mhm.
That's where we get.
So it's a hodgepodge of everything.
You name it, it's in there.
It is used also for a tag class.
Tag,
right?
yes. So tag classes are held in the storage area. There's kind of a little area tucked in the back,
Mhm.
and that's where we have our tag classes. During COVID, there's partitions in there that we put in for staff. Staff offices were down there, and you had to be 6 feet apart, so.
And this would be needed to just kind of quickly empty that space out and allow us to have it then for potential after-school care,
Yeah,
and other, and then storage if.
we literally have
construction,
no other place to
that
put
kind of-
it. so.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
So I think it's a good thing. I just think we should watch if we put stuff in there that's gonna sit for extended time. I know we don't have time to do a sale now, but we don't wanna fill these with stuff that's gonna turn into long-term
Junk.
junk.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Mhm.
Good point.
But you can still get into these storage containers in case, like,
Yeah,
they need a desk or they need a few desks. You can still get into them and take out what you need
correct.
as
That's
it
why I
comes
got
upon.
2 of them.
Yeah, right.
That's why I
Scroll through.
got 2 of them instead of 1.
Okay,
Is so to create hopefully a path to get to stuff.
makes sense.
I think there is a market for containers, so if we find out that we don't need one down the road, they would be resaleable.
Mhm.
All right. There's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. Next is to approve the 1.67 FTE, or .167, I'm sorry, .167 FTE, computer applications teacher position.
Okay, so this is adding a position back for computer applications, so we would go out to accept applications, we would need to advertise it right away.
Motion to approve by Zumble?
Okay, motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. Next is to approve the memorandum of agreement with MSEA for the lead custodian.
Okay, so that I've worked with the MSEA to develop language to pay a custodial lead an additional $1 for the additional duties and responsibilities associated with that position.
$1 per hour.
$1 per hour. Yeah, that's a good distinction.
Anybody like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Zumble?
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item is approval of the preliminary fiscal year 26 budget. Jeremy. Welcome again.
This year was a fun year with the new finance system and creating code before I could budget and then having it in both systems, but we got there. So just some highlights. We are looking at a positive fund balance at the end of the year this year. There's still a lot of fluctuation with that. State has not approved their budget, so there's some factors there that could be related. In the general fund, we're looking at $271,000 of a positive fund balance. Again, LTFM, we're looking at not spending quite a bit of that this year because we have a negative fund balance. So that really isn't out there for us to spend. The amount that's highlighted in blue, that's our $110,000, so that's in our fund reserved account. That is for operational expenses, teachers' benefits, salaries. I have built in a buffer for negotiations, so that's built in this budget. That could be a plus or a minus at the end of the day. Food service, we're looking at staying pretty even where we were. Only about a $2,500 increase there. Community ed, we are looking at a little bit of a decrease. We are adding a position for learning readiness. So with that position added, it's hard to budget what that income's gonna be. So I'm guessing it'll be more of a wash at the end of the day, but showing a little bit of a decrease there. Debt service is what it is. The Fund 47, that bond payment has fallen off, so we've got a little bit of a fund balance left there, and that MDE will tell us what we need to do with that amount of money.
Will they let us keep it?
Not necessarily.
I think we'll under levy
Yeah.
until that's gone.
That's that, we levy 105% when we levy for a bond, just for that increase. So that's what that is. So in revenues, general fund, I've got the 2.74% in, which is what the state's giving us for the, what was it,
The formula.
yeah, the pot, or the, yeah. Transportation increased about 3% this year. And Yeah, like I said, there'll still be some fluctuation with that 250,000 that we're showing positive right now, so at the end of the day, I don't think it'll do that, but that's the best estimate we've got right now. So I propose that we approve the preliminary budget with revenues at $13,178,145 and expenses of $12,928,130. And then we'll look at, my plan is to do revisions in January. Once we get audit done, I'm gonna try to move up audit this year, so we are gonna start in August, just so that we can get moving into the new finance system, because I can't move budgets until audit's done, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Discussion on that. Now, is there a motion to approve the preliminary fiscal year 26 budget?
Motion by Zumple to approve the 26th fiscal year budget.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, policy update. There's a bunch of them. Are these 8? Are they all minor? We could take them all together as minor. Okay. So policy update for approval of the update policy 413 for harassment and violence. Approve update policy 425 staff development. Approve update policy 512 for school-sponsored student publications. Approve update policy 516 for student medication and telehealth. Approve update policy 533 for wellness. Approve update policy 621 for literacy and READ Act. Approve update policy 704 for fixed assets accounting system. Approve update policy 712 for uniform grant guidance policy regarding federal revenue sources. It's a mouthful. All right. And approve update policy 906 for community notification of predatory offenders. Anybody have anything to add for that? Not, is there a motion to approve these 9 policies?
A motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Somebody's got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, carries. All right, we have a discussion item for the review and comment.
Okay, so we received a favorable review and comment from NDE. That's significant because that means that the threshold for passage of the October 12th referendum vote will be 50% plus 1. What? August 12th. What did I say?
October.
Oh.
Well.
August 12th.
August.
All right, August 12th. And in the amount of $74,395,000. So that is a lot easier asked than it is for the 60% threshold, so that's good news. You will notice on there that the project cost of $75,262,421 is on there. Remember, we approved that because we know we are anticipating significantly favorable bond issuance that will help us recoup that additional revenue.
It's great news we got that back.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So, any questions about the review and comments, discussion on it?
Just one of the requirements that we have a public discussion of it. So,
Great stuff. All right, so we do not have any correspondence. We have upcoming events. The referendum community meeting is tomorrow night, June 10th at 6 p.m. It says here in the Wyoming auditorium.
we'll work them upstairs.
We'll meet-
There'll be big signs.
We'll meet in the
Big
hallway
signs.
and work them upstairs, okay? Everybody, please come. All right, we have the activities committee meeting on July 2nd in the boardroom. We have a referendum outreach meeting at the Echo City Hall on July 8th at 6 o'clock. a referendum outreach meeting at the Clarkfield City Hall on July 9th at 7 o'clock, and a referendum outreach meeting at Hanley Falls Fire Hall on July 16th at 6 o'clock. Our next board meeting is in July 14th, 6 o'clock. That's all we have, so meeting's adjourned.
Woo-hoo.